Suk. Um, yeah, so welcome to today's episode of Tuesday Pulse. I'm Chuck Boyce with CV Creative, and this is a weekly thing that I do. And today it's more a discussion, or not a conversation, on capability debt and what your team loses when AI does the work. And this is all based on a recent article that Anthropic pushed out about identifying people who, programmers basically, coders who were tested after doing certain tasks, and the retainment level of what they did dropped out greatly. It was interesting to see how people become reliant upon using AI. And so one person who understood if they're out today and the workflow broke, if AI wrote it and no one in the room can fix it, what do you do then? So, discussion hangs on this. Output is not understanding. AI hands you the first probabilistic answer for free. And then the second one you have to build through interpretation and iteration. And the finished thing is the ability to have made that thing is different. And so you can have the document without judgment that it produced. And so for a while you won't notice a difference, but that's the trap. You can get a result, but it wasn't the result with judgment applied. A lot of times the person who puts in the prompt or wants to get the answer via AI just accepts that. And with that, you end up losing something. The understanding often, or the additional training that in the traditional way of doing things in the past, you always had the ability to increase your learning based on either mistakes or misunderstanding or interpretation. But nowadays with AI, the first one you get is free, and then the second one you have to build, but still, you're not really learning, you're just adjusting the output. And so when you think about how anybody learns to do a job, you do it by hand, you hit an error, you get stuck, you're annoyed, and then you work it out. That's the way learning normally works. The friction is the worst part of the day, but it's the entire mechanism. It's how getting stuck is where your knowledge comes from. And so AI takes this friction away. It's great, it's faster, but the learning that the friction would have produced, that's what goes away. You don't skip the boring part, you skip the part that was teaching you. And so, again, AI removes that friction. It's easy. You don't get stumped. You don't have to really think. And so, based on what Anthropic did in randomized trial of 52, mostly junior engineers, and what they found was the biggest gap showed up in debugging. And that's where you really want to understand what's happening, especially in a programmer, and especially with junior programmers. Debugging is one of the pieces that is where you really learn how that code is working. And it's not just coding, it's also in marketing. Before, in previous pre-AI world of marketing, you would have somebody who understood the marketing demographics, and another person who understood copywriting, and another person who understood image generation, and they all worked together and they learned off each other. But now you throw AI in there and it's a different world because people just accept the output. And so going back to the study, 52 engineers, mostly junior, learning a tool that they did not know. Half of them used an AI assistant, half coded by hand. And then everyone took a quiz on what they'd just done minutes afterwards. The AI group scored 50%. The hands-on group scored 67. So in a regular scoring, that's about 2 grade letters difference. And the biggest gap showed in the debugging, which is exactly what you need to understand when the tool is wrong. The group learning on AI got slower at the one thing that you needed them to get better at. Spotting when the machine is wrong. And so accepting what AI did got rid of that curiosity of, is it really right? And they're losing that learning edge. And that's one small study, one small sample measured directly after. And so treat this as direction. It's not common in every situation, but it is something that has been shown in a test by a programming company. And so if you stop there and you walk away thinking AI rots your team, that's not what it found, and that's not what I'm telling you. It's two caveats. One, it was conditional. The people who used AI to understand, not just produce, they scored fine. Same tool, different habit, different outcome. Not so it's how it gets used under pressure. And so it was about learning something new. Skills that were already on your team makes it faster. The damage only showed up when it was a new concept. And this is something where a lot of people tend to have problems with. It's understanding when you don't know something well enough to question the output. And so you put those together. AI will help you, it'll be faster, but you do, if it's in an area that you're learning something new, you can lose out on the learning experience by not encountering failure or not understanding what that failure could be. So in the capability ladder, again, the same tool, same task, three different outcomes. Bottom rung, you offload. AI produces it, the person ships it, nothing forms in their head. It's the fastest option in the room. That's what AI slop is. It's also the most fragile. I mean, everybody just does something with AI, they assume it's the right thing, and they ship it. That's where AI slop came from. The middle rung is lean. AI produces, and the person checks it. And sometimes the understanding sticks, it's better, but it still leaves gaps and something to wrestle with and knowing where to turn. Whereas the top rung is your learning. AI produces it, the person interrogates it. Why is it this way? What would break? What's it assuming? Understanding various forms. It's slower, but it's stronger because you're questioning the output. You're trying to learn from it. You're not just accepting that pattern that AI knows what it's doing, because AI doesn't know what it's doing. It's a repeater. It's just predicting what's coming next. And if you just accept that in a topic that you don't understand, you're not learning. You're just accepting something. And that's where you get that capability gap in your learning. So this part that flips the usual rule. Most of the time, you stop at the right rung. So what matters is you want your team to learn on the work that matters, what your team is climbing to learn. Don't stop at offloading. The tool is not the problem. The default is it's accepting that bottom rung, going for the quick results, going for the easy answer, and accepting that that might be true. So capability debt is the thing that this is named. It's what builds every time that somebody should be learning, but they quit at the offload. It's borrowed capability. It looks like progress on the dashboard. Work's getting done. It's getting done faster. You're running up a balance. And when it comes to due is when something breaks or the person who truly understands it isn't available and you don't know where to turn. It's like financial debt. Debt when you carry on credit and you don't realize that you have to pay it off and your interest is increasing and your debt is getting bigger and you're just paying off the minimum. And that's where you run into the financial desk. And this is what AI does for your knowledge capability. It's you're accepting something, you're doing the minimal work, and you're not learning from that. So here's where it hides. It doesn't spread evenly, it pools, and it's mostly with new skill work. The people who are trying to learn something new, or it's a new area, and they're just assuming. So they're learning a new business. The new hire is learning your quoting or your customer onboarding. The junior person learning reconciliation. It's where the offloading does the most damage because that's where the real understanding that you need to build, and this tool skips that. And so to learn, you have to have that inquisitiveness and understanding that you can't accept everything unless if you already know it and you can understand that's the truth, then AI is good. But again, if it's a new skill, it's where you start pooling the debt because you're just relying on answers that sound really good. Second, the single owner overflow or workflows, the process one person runs and nobody else gets. And so if that process was never written down, it's been handed down orally, here's how you do things, but it was never written down. If that person who came up with the idea, the process, the workflow, and they're gone, who knows where that breaking point is? Second one is it's a process illusion. If you're familiar with the five blind spots, it's an ownership gap and a process illusion because there's no documentation, there's no owner, and there's really no way to catch the errors because you're just assuming that AI knows it's correct. And so this is where it hits the small business much more so than in a large enterprise. Because in a small business, you have less people, there's concentrated knowledge within individuals, and when that person goes, the knowledge goes too, unless it's been documented. And so in a 200-person company, you have multiple divisions, departments, and they've got a bench and 3 people know the system and somebody can cover, and you have that overflow capability of knowledge that people understand what it is. But if you're a solopreneur or a 2 or 3 person shop, you don't have that spare head count. And again, when that one knowledgeable person isn't available to pivot or babysit a broken workflow, you're just assuming that you have the answers and you may not. And so before AI, saw a 10-person shop lose the one person who understood their billing logic. It took them months to figure out and rebuild what was in that person's head. Again, it's similar. You have a receptionist who's taking your customer intake and they're doing everything on a spreadsheet and they just know where to instinctively transfer workflow or process or who's going to do it. And if they're gone, suddenly that is broken. The person filling in doesn't understand that ingrained knowledge that that receptionist had that could easily route things. And so do this right now. Just don't think about it. Your most AI heavy reliant task, if it broke today and the usual person who manages it was out, how long would you take to find out that nobody can fix it, or how long would it take to fix it? That's where you find out where your capability debt is. So the hands-on test. Here's something you can actually run. It's just 3 questions. Start building, or is it already mastered? The team is, if you're building a new skill, it's something that they already mastered. Huge difference. If it's something brand new and they don't know the nuances, that's going to be a capability debt. If they already understand what it is and they're automating it or improving it, they have a leg up. 2, if it breaks at the worst possible time, who here can fix it without AI? That is a really big question that a lot of companies that are reliant on a AI product that they bought and they don't truly understand it, if it breaks and the vendor's not available, who can fix it? And do they understand that there's a problem? Is it a customer complaining? Is it a legality, a legal issue that they ran into? Is it a reputational problem? Do they know it, and who can fix it? And then the last one is, if that person who came up with the idea left, do you have an understanding enough to pick up where they were? And so run that on a whiteboard, do it for 10 minutes, figure out, are you over-reliant on a product, an AI workflow? Do you have somebody who can understand it, who can fix it, and can replace it if that person who does understand leaves? And so figure out where that initial knowledge is and how it can be transferred to other people within the organization so you're not in this debt. So still building, nobody, yes. And so if the task is unloaded, this should be something that they're learning. This is where you intervene. This is where you have to update your processes, update your employee training to understand where these potential holes are and how you can flip it. And a lot of times it is as easy as documenting. If it's a mastered skill that someone can fix, if somebody has an understanding, leave it alone. It's where these holes show up is where you should focus your problem. It's the new things that you're introducing. How many people do you need to bring up to speed? If you're putting AI into your business, will your business have negative impact if that AI fails or if somebody can't fix it? So you're protecting a handful of places where speed is quietly costing you. And so if it's something that's well known and AI is making it faster, better, and everybody understands it, great. But if it's a new thing and it's a new idea, people need to learn off it, that's where you need to be careful. So here's what you do. Not a policy binder, it's not a department, it's not anything difficult, it's just clarity. First of all, ownership. Name an AI point person. I stress this a lot in these talks that I do. It's who owns it and who is responsible. If it's something that deals with a regulation, a reputation, a client, and it has a negative impact on your team, you can't blame AI, you can't blame technology. There has to be a human owner. Next is to set a comprehension norm on the tasks that matter. Is there training available? Who's going to, how much do your staff need to know to protect that workflow? Understand the technology behind it. Who's going to fix it if it goes wrong? That comprehension norm is something that is overlooked. You use the tool, make the person explain it back. It doesn't cost anything. It changes everything because now you have a deeper understanding of how the technology is affecting your business. 3, mark the work that stays human-led. People are still learning it. If everybody understands it enough that it can be AI assisted or AI augmented, great. Everybody understands what the background process or policies or everything is. Again, you need that understanding of the tool because if the vendor goes out of business, if somebody's out, if the person who brought it in, if the process is not documented, AI, a tool is reliant on it, you lose it if that person's gone. And so choose the slow road, make sure that people understand it, document it, train, communicate, get all 4 of those down there, and you can catch errors outside of the person's head. Documentation, training, communications. Very simple things. In the AI world, it's moving so fast that a lot of those simple things are being bypassed. Capability debt. So, agents and AI, shadow AI, yeah. Study tested an assistant in a semi-controlled environment. This was the Anthropic test of the junior engineers when they just trusted AI and what they retained. And so agents run the whole task end to end. They can make matters worse because if there's less for the person to touch, there's more of a chance that something can go wrong. And so you're being sold agents. This is the test, the question that you want to ask. If your team is using tools nobody approved, that's the shadow AI problem. The learning loss happens with zero visibility. Excuse me, you can't manage what you haven't inventoried. So inventory your tools first. The shadow AI, if you are not familiar with it, I've touched upon this in a few other episodes of this, is that you may have a corporate version, a business version of ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or something that you're using in your business. But if that person is using their own version at home, they have a personal version of ChatGPT or of Claude, and they're trying to get a proposal out before the morning. And they resort to their personal version, but they don't realize that they haven't turned off training. They haven't understood where that data is going. So they put in some client data that goes up to Anthropic or OpenAI. It's now in the cloud. It's being trained. Suddenly that proprietary, personalized data is out in the cloud and it's being trained on. It could be found. And so that's the shadow AI. That's the biggest blind spot right now. And that is where most companies are running into the problem. As right now, it tends to be more on the higher enterprise level side, but the way that consumer protection laws are being implemented around AI is that you have to understand these laws are protecting where the consumer lives. And so if you are in, for my case, South Carolina, and you're dealing with a client in California, you have to abide by California client or consumer protection laws, privacy laws. And so you have to understand that. And this is where shadow AI comes in. If people are using tools and they don't understand the security, the proprietariness, anything about that tool, that can become a liability, a reputational, a financial problem for the business because the clients didn't understand. Again, that goes down, or the employees didn't understand. So again, educating what tools are available, what data can be entered into them, and when it can be pulled back. And so communications documentation is, again, a big part of understanding the tools, and AI is a very powerful tool that can easily be misused or misunderstood by employees who haven't been trained. They think they're doing something great, and so, but they're not. And so here's where you can start. I have a couple of resources. The check.cbcreative.com is just a quick 3-minute tool finding out if you're going to be any exposure to what I call the 5 blind spots. I just recently updated cbcreative.com. The resources page have a bunch of different tools that you can use, different findings, different reports that may give you new insights. And again, if you just want to have a quick call to find out if I can help you in your business in implementing AI, just do the CB Creative Contact. It's a 15-minute fit call. Figure out if you are running into problems, and so or exposure. So that is really all I have today. Next week, I'm going to talk about what I call the containment gap, and can you stop the agent? It's the difference between using an AI prompt versus an AI assistant versus an AI agent, and where that point comes where can you stop it before the damage can be done? And so I'm going to call it the containment gap. And so that's going to be next week. And with that, I'm going to stop